welcome to the hard sell, where the stick in the swill-bucket rattles back. Well, we spent a lot of time overseas so far this year, which is to say 2 consecutive episodes, but it still means that technically we haven't tackled anything British. Clearly unacceptable in this day and age, so let's remedy that right now with a...
Have a break.
And after this break, Jane Fonda. See? It's TVAM in its relative pomp, which is to say that glorious period between the strike and the fax, when it was riding the third term of that right zeitgeist and the richest TV station on earth. It's June the 2nd, 1989, it's 8:20 in the morning, and here's the advertising. Of course, commercials at break time have long since relaxed from their self-conscious beginnings by this point. If you remember episode 100 of this very programme, when we went through all of TVAM's Day 1 advertising, the vast majority of them made some reference to breakfast or mornings, even when they weren't specifically for breakfast foods and the like. By 1989, they've realised that it's perfectly reasonable to advertise things in the morning that have nothing to do with the time of day. There are, however, still some distinguishing features based on the demographic, or rather demographics, assumed to be tuning in. Harassed mothers and or housewives were one, very small or truant children were another, and of course there's always the retired and otherwise housebound, with nothing to do but potter. To this day, brand names like Fison's and Cuprinol are unlikely to appear during breaks in prime time. Daytime is the place for anything you buy in a garden centre, and daytime, of course, includes breakfast. All of which is by way of introducing the decidedly uncommercially named Fostrogen, with a very simple advert which practically smells of compost.
Use Fostrogen, houseplant food, plant pin and water signals, and your little plants get bigger every day.
Actually, despite the compost crack, it's actually for houseplants. A lot of TPAM viewers would have been middle-class apartment dwellers after all. And working-class apartment dwellers. You know what, not everything's about class, just apartment dwellers, basically. After that, a date with racial discomfort.
Hey, Dora. Hey, Crow. Yep.
I mean, it is a visual racial stereotype, but on the other hand, there's no malice in it. Fundamentally, this is just a kid who happens to be the colour of charcoal. I'm not defending it or trying to rationalise it away here. It's definitely not something you could broadcast today, and rightly so. It's just that the troubling part is something almost indefinable, so subtle it's practically homeopathic, and theoretically easy to fix if you could just figure out what it is that needs fixing. Anyway, as you'll have gathered, this isn't the famous one with the "I'll be your dog" conga line, which did include several more obvious racial stereotypes. That was made 5 years earlier by Oscar Griot and Sergio Simonetti at Clacto Films, although it kept running well into the 90s. This, however, is just a brief sequel, promoting the new mixed fruit variety with a particularly stupid crow and much more surreal and neutral imagery.
If you can tell me how many different fruits are in mixed fruit Kiora, I'll let you find out what all 4 of them taste like.
Fruity mixed Kiora. Oh boy, oh boy. 1, 2, 49.
No.
3.
No.
7.
No.
This one was made by Jeff Dunbar at Grand Slam Films, yes, spelt with 2 M's. Later known for kids shows like Percy the Park Keeper and Angelina Ballerina.
1.
Next, a rare treat, for advertising geeks anyway. So, me. But anyway, you won't see this every day. You see that miserable guy in the glasses? That's Enn Reitel, that is. You know, the voice of this.
One call to Lombard Direct, and you're laughing.
And this.
Murray! We're history, Murray! She's got something new for cleaning the house!
And this.
We're Midland, the listening bank.
And this.
We have to kill him!
What?
And basically every third advert in the 80s and 90s? Well, that's what he looks like. They actually got him on screen. Not saying a word. Seems like a strange use of Enn Reitel, but he does have previous form in silent comedy, specifically 2 seasons of The Optimist, a kind of halfway mark between Eric Sykes' Rhubarb or The Plank and Rowan Atkinson's Mr. Bean, although not as funny as either. So what's he advertising anyway?
KP, the number 1 nut. Why settle for less? Less.
Peanuts, fair enough. It's an unusual way to do it, though. Most adverts tend to go for a positive image. And obviously they have for themselves here, but most people are going to take away the surrounding setting. Enn Reitel sitting miserably in a carriage in black and white in what looks like Stalin's Soviet Union, eating bastard brand peanuts, surrounded by the dead and despairing, gazing longingly at a passing train which is in colour and populated by 80s hotties eating KP, because KP is so great and such. Reitel doesn't even get to deliver the voiceover at the end, possibly because he's too depressed. The thing is, and I'd like to thank one Professor Emerson for pointing this out to me, this is a pretty close reference to the opening sequence of Stardust Memories, one of Woody Allen's lesser-known works from clear over the other end of the decade, which won't have helped it sell peanuts. For a start, the film was almost 10 years old by then. For a second, no salt saw it at the time, and those who did didn't much like it. It definitely speaks to the cinema-obsessed nature of advertising creatives at the time. They'd seen more films than you, and they were happy to let you know it. But this isn't Sight and Sound magazine. This is Salted Peanuts. And a bleak monochromatic Fellini pastiche, or an homage thereunto, isn't going to make people buy some. Another animated one next, and something of a knot in the animation family tree. We already enjoyed a sequel to one of Oscar Griot's most famous advertising works. Now here's Griot himself, delivering a sequel to someone else's. Tasty, tasty Rolos had been advertised through the 80s by a fourth-wall breaking set of adverts starring a lovelorn line drawing, petitioning his artist for help in winning the girl of his dreams. First by drawing her in the first place, then by drawing some Rolos to bribe her with. These were made by the future Disney hero Eric Goldberg, the man behind the Genie, initially at Richard Williams' studio, then at his own, Pizzazz Pictures. When the mouse came calling for Goldberg, Rolo and J. Walter Thompson turned to Griot and his Clacto Studios to continue the basic aesthetic, although this one didn't do much with the more meta aspects.
Do you love anyone enough to go over Niagara Falls in your designer suit?
Yeah!
Instead, with the help of Ned Sherrin, he concentrates on the whole "do you love anyone enough" motif, which ultimately took over as the main conceit of Rolo advertising. Interesting what a designer suit is thought to look like in 1989.
To arm wrestle an octopus?
To tell a guard dog to keep off the grass?
Bad doggy.
To give someone your last Rolo. Soft, creamy toffee in a milk chocolate cup. Well?
I am thinking about it. Honest.
Another minor point of interest is this bit.
To tell a guard dog to keep off the grass?
Seems a bit lame and generalised, doesn't it? Guard dog. I mean, that could mean a Jack Russell with ideas above its station. Well, as originally broadcast, it went like this.
To tell a Rottweiler to keep off the grass?
Why the change? Who knows? Some people 37 years ago, probably. I imagine either they got complaints from Rottweiler fanciers, or else they were told not to trigger people with the actual name. Either way, it's not a change for the better. Besides, Griot was careful to show that the dog in question, whatever its breed, is actually a good and friendly boy, as long as you're nice. Also, it's a drawing.
Easy! Robot house!
Cheese. The cheeses of England and Wales are still vying for your attention. You may remember the Richard Purdom animated whimsical anthropomorphs from the other end of the decade. Yes, well, they weren't connecting with the increasingly sophisticated 80s audience. So instead, they've gone with this you-know-what-y jingle and some celebrity endorsements, like former Prime Minister Edward Heath.
You can get Cheshire cheese in 3 colours. Personally, I prefer the blue.
Do you get it? Because he was a Tory Prime Minister. Ken Livingstone did the same, only for Red Leicester. Do you see? Later they hit upon a neat idea with these favourite variety shorts, whereby the ending shot would have had the specific cheese spelled out in blocks of itself. But by then I suspect everyone was fed up with the whole thing.
Try delicious new Del Pack vegetable grills.
You might as well. It's preferable to scurvy. We paid these 3 actors to look delighted while holding a mouthful.
The exciting range includes curry flavour too. There's something different every night.
So I guess that proves nothing at all, but still give it a go. Morrissey said you should. What if we do a half-assed 50s song reference and comp on a nightmarish animated mouth?
Stacks of facts.
Stacks of taste.
Is that anything? Dale Pack. One of those brands at the low end of the market that you tend to associate with discount stores and processed meat products designed solely to keep the proletariat sufficiently alive to do whatever menial tasks are still required to keep the machine running. Astonishingly, they still exist, or rather the name does, having been handed around to whatever company will take it for the past 30 years. The last time, before now I suppose, that anyone thought about it was probably the horse meat scandal of 12 years ago, in which they were unsurprisingly implicated.
There's something different every night.
That kid is clearly not related to these people.
Every night. Stacks of facts.
Stacks of taste.
Hello again.
And then back to Camden Lock for that Jane Fonda interview, which turns out to be entirely bought in and promoting Old Gringo, so they might as well not have bothered. Might have helped if the film had explained who Ambrose Bierce was. Oh well, it wasn't the worst decision Fonda ever made. As for the adverts, it's not exactly a break from which you can really learn anything. Or if you can, you need to be cleverer than me. No comment. He's definitely aware of who might be watching, though. Or at this time of day, merely in eye-shot of the screen. Retirees and the like, with nothing to do but potter, can distract themselves with a spotted pucculent or two and feed them on fostrogen. The harassed mum is informed about what brand of squash to buy next shopping day and what kind of cheap edibles to get for dinner. Probably best if you try and keep its vegetarian nature under your hat as long as possible, though. Kids getting ready for school would have been tempted with snacks and sweets. And cheese exists. State-sponsored marketing board stuff adverts are a good way to fill a 10-second space in the break with something less lame than a public information film. An efficient break all round. Well done. You still don't get to keep the franchise, though. Go back to bed. This has been a Bob the Fish production, one of dozens you can watch right now for free on bobthefish.org.uk. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell, and join us on patreon.com/applemask to support further productions and gain fabulous exclusive content, like my ongoing history of the BBC, your day's viewing on a random day in history, even a few exclusive mini video essays. Plus the satisfaction of knowing that thanks to you, I get to eat regular meals. bobthefish.org.uk. We care because you do.